Tyler is a Jiu Jitsu black belt who we've seen guillotine people all over the internet, but
I actually don't know. Last time you wrestled, just like straight wrestling.
I also wrestled in high school and currently train Jiu Jitsu, but today I've decided to take us back to our roots and challenge Tyler to a takedown contest.
It's a modified wrestling match. First to 5 takedowns wins.
Slap hands.
There's a lot to the wrestling versus Jiu Jitsu dynamic that we'll be breaking down in this video, but first and foremost, this is about bragging rights. Tyler and I have a long history of rolling against each other, the result of which has always been me getting strangled. But maybe, under this modified rule set, the outcome will be different.
One.
We've compared pure wrestling versus jiu-jitsu in the past, but this video isn't a one-to-one comparison. Instead, Tyler and I are both former wrestlers who made the switch to jiu-jitsu. I've done jiu-jitsu for 3 years and Tyler's been training for 15. So while Tyler has significantly more mat time than I do, in the grand scheme of grappling, we have a similar skill set. And, as you'll see later in the video, this dynamic helps highlight how jiu-jitsu can improve your wrestling and vice versa, as well as how some techniques are more suitable for one sport than the other. And as I say that, I go for a super duck and get stuck in a front headlock, where, aside from chokes, the techniques used are pretty consistent across both sports. I'm trying to collect elbows and look for short drags and dumps, but Tyler is a front headlock specialist regardless of the sport.
Better get a stall call, fellas.
You'll notice that we're both in a low stance to match each other's level. In wrestling, your head is your first line of defense in preventing your opponent from grabbing your legs. And the same is true in jiu-jitsu, but your stance is more upright due to the threat of submission and there being less emphasis on takedowns. After some fake shots, we get stuck in over-unders, until I maintain my base after Tyler's lat drop, and after a bad go-behind attempt, I force a Hail Mary foot sweep, which gives Tyler the opportunity to grab a seatbelt and hit a textbook jiu-jitsu back take for his second point.
Does that count as one?
This is not something you'd typically see in a wrestling match, but it's a great example of a jiu-jitsu technique that is both effective and legal in wrestling. With Tyler now in the lead, I go back to my bread and butter in this next point. Instead of sprawling, Tyler's instinct is to defend the double leg using a guillotine, but with there being no submissions in wrestling, I'm able to finish the takedown.
These are sweet exchanges.
We all find ourselves in tricky situations on the mats, but being out of position online can cause much bigger problems. That's why when I'm browsing the web, I trust CyberGhost VPN to keep me secure. Normally, your online activity is like an open book, where your data is easily accessible to others. But with CyberGhost VPN, your internet traffic is routed through a secure remote server, keeping your activity private and your data out of the wrong hands. Plus, CyberGhost lets you unlock geo-blocked content. With servers in over 100 countries, you can easily switch your online location and access content that's usually restricted to specific regions. It works on all devices and operating systems, and one subscription covers up to 7 devices at once. They also offer 24/7 customer support and a 45-day money-back guarantee. It's no surprise that with over 38 million users and a top rating on Trustpilot, CyberGhost VPN is one of the most trusted VPNs available. So protect yourself today by going to cyberghostvpn.com/Ryan Giuliano or by clicking the link in the description. A big thank you to CyberGhost for sponsoring this video, and now let's get back to it.
For those wondering about Tyler and I's wrestling credentials, Tyler started when he was 7 and qualified for states twice during high school in Minnesota. I started wrestling my sophomore year of high school and placed 4th my senior year, but Connecticut's not known for its wrestling like Minnesota is. In any case, our wrestling backgrounds have greatly impacted our jiu-jitsu. People love to pick sides and argue over which is best, but at the end of the day, grappling is grappling, and it's really only the rule sets that differentiates one sport from the other. The much more interesting question, in my opinion, is how different arts do or don't apply to one another, and how crossover between sports can improve grappling as a whole. Tyler uses a misdirection to get to the single leg. I sprawl and keep my leg heavy, but once he pops his head out, he's able to build height and... I roll him through with the chin whip and we square up in a front headlock. In Jiu Jitsu, it's pretty common for the bottom player to pull guard in this position, and I must admit that as a result, my pure wrestling front headlock offense isn't the best. Tyler builds up on a mat single and knows exactly how to finish.
3.
Like I mentioned before, the only thing that distinguishes one grappling art from another is the rules, and based on those rules, each art becomes proficient in certain positions. Take judo for example. Before 2010, you were allowed to grab the legs. Some say the sport was more well-rounded back then because it allowed for a wider range of takedowns and therefore a wider range of defenses, but that doesn't paint the full picture. Once leg grabs were banned in 2010, judokas stood with a more upright posture, making for easier entries into big throws and foot sweeps. This not only made for more high-flying judo, but it also helped advance our understanding of takedowns for Jiu Jitsu. And now with leg grabs coming back to the Japan Judo Federation this year, we're not just going back to the judo of old. We're returning to a version of the old rule set where judokas are now more proficient in an upright stance. There's countless examples of this, but the point is, if you think of grappling holistically, you'll appreciate that it's ultimately thanks to different rule sets that each sport and grappling as a whole continues to progress. And as it pertains to this video, Tyler learned front headlock attacks from wrestling, and his 15 years in Jiu Jitsu helped him refine the fundamentals, learn new attacks, and develop an entire guillotine system that he's now teaching to the world of Jiu Jitsu. And speaking of front headlocks, I go for a super duck and trap myself in Tyler's best position. And when I go for a dump, Tyler steps over the whizzer to finish another takedown. And needing just one more point to win, he gets a right-handed underhook, which I know he's going to try to use to get me in another front headlock. Eventually, I'm able to clear my elbow, but then I jam my already sprained thumb on his gi, which, ironically, I forced him to wear. I love making these videos, but it's not without pain, so please consider clicking the buttons if you haven't already. We get back to it, and Tyler takes a shot from space, which I'm able to defend with a quick whizzer. I snap him into a front headlock, but he's fighting the hands, and I don't feel comfortable committing to an attack. We disengage, and I take another shot, which, once again, lands me in Tyler's best position. I go for another dump, but without leg control, and Tyler's able to find the underhook and circle around for the final takedown. Let me know in the comments if you'd like to see a rematch. Stay tuned for a Jiu Jitsu match between Tyler and I.
And don't forget to click the link in the description to grab your exclusive discount from CyberGhost VPN. Protect your online privacy, unlock geo-restricted content, and secure up to 7 devices with 1 subscription. Try it risk-free with their 45-day money-back guarantee, link in the description.